Good morning. Good morning. Hi, Stephanie. How are you? Good morning, everybody. Hi, Lion. How are you? Good to see you. Kamini, Kamini. Okay, I'm sharing this around, y'all. Give me a minute. You know the drill. For those who have been here before, you know the drill. Say hello. If you're on here, let me know if it's your first time, which is always exciting. If somebody finds this, if you feel like this is something that can help somebody, hey, let's help some people, help sister out, as they say. Good morning, Kelly. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good to see so many of you out here, for sure. One more place, guys, and then I'll be ready to go here. Hold on. All right. All right. That is shared. Let me get back on my main page. Here we go. Hi, Rosemary. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. So let me set this up here in case my comments go out. So, good morning. It's kind of cloudy here. It's been beautiful the last couple of days. Lee and I have been out walking, all that good stuff. But yeah, today it's like cloudy, a little bit rainy, a little bit windy. I've got to go out and deliver some orders today and to some customers, so I'm excited about seeing them. And a lot of them haven't seen the new size of the brochure yet, so it's going to be exciting to get that into their hands. So it's Closeout Tuesday. If you're in my Avon world, this is the last day to for customers to place their orders and for representatives to place their orders. So this is in my Team Onward group. This live right now is with Onward No Matter What. Um, so there's a lot that goes on every other Tuesday. But then again, it seems like every day anymore. So, but good to see so many of you on here. What is this about? This is about hopefully giving you some hope. Hopefully, this will bring some light into your life. Hopefully, uh, it will help you if you're having a bad week. If you feel like you don't have any direction, if you feel disconnected from God, I'm here to tell you it's real easy to just get connected back into Him and plug into it, and you can start with the Bible. You can start with talking to Him. If you're like me, you have trouble sometimes understanding the Bible, and boy, do I understand that. I am consistently in devotions and listening to podcasts and asking my husband, what does this mean? What does that mean? What is your take on this? I'm part of a devotional thing where we're reading different scriptures in my Where You Are church, where we actually have studies and people kind of put what the verses mean to them. Hi, Sandra. Good to see you. Um, yeah, he's always the answer. I think people stray, and if you're where I've been in my life before, you feel like when something didn't go your way, you feel like God wasn't there in that. And then the reality is, sometimes the places that we are leave room for growth. They leave room for you learning more about yourself, more about maybe the path you should be on. Um, wouldn't it be great if we didn't have a problem free life, right? Wouldn't that be awesome? Doesn't always happen that way, for sure. It doesn't. We always have problems. Maybe there are problems within your family. Maybe there's problems in your marriage. Maybe there's problems in your job. I don't know anybody who can just, everything is perfect. Everybody's stuff looks different. Hey, Sharon, thanks for joining. So I believe that for me, which is why I share this, for me, sometimes my only hope in problems, my only hope, rather, it can be financial, it can be the fact that you feel lonely, that you feel misunderstood, it could be your health. Just anything that goes on, the one person, hi Sue Ann, hi Mary, the one person who appears to understand and is there consistently, never to let us down, is Jesus. That's it. It's all about Jesus. Um, and sometimes we don't always understand in the moment of what we're going through what it is that we're supposed to learn. Last night I was reading my devotional. I read in the morning and then in the evening before I go to bed. Sue Ann, please pray for Robert as he continues testing for epilepsy and for Lance as he deals with long-term COVID. Absolutely. I am. Hold on, girl. Let me stop right here because I need to put that on my prayer list. So we're going to be. Oh, your grandpa's feeling better. That's awesome. Okay, I love that. Good. That's a praise report for sure. So we're going to pray for Robert for testing with epilepsy. Mm-hmm. And Lance as he deals with long-term COVID. Long-term COVID. Perfect. All right. All right. Yeah, Sue Ann, we will definitely, Lee and I will put that on our list to pray that you guys will be given some direction in that. Okay. Um, okay. So last night, my devotional was, um, it kind of hit me as some of them do. And some of them sometimes when you read a devotional, you're just like, oh, okay. And maybe you get a little knowledge. Maybe you see something a little different. But sometimes it just hits you between the eyes, we just it's hard. Life is not easy, but I have come to realize life is not supposed to be easy. I know a lot of the kids of the day. Look, I remember when I was young, just wanting to coast all the time. But when I really think back to those days, like the days when I knew that I had failed the test, I knew I was going to have to take that test home to mom and let her see it. I remember things like that when I think about stress, or how about not making the volleyball team, not making the softball team. Stress comes where you're at. And as an adult, sometimes we look at things that we were stressed about when we were young, and it doesn't look very important after the fact, hindsight. But forever there has been stress. Think about a baby who cries because he's got a need. They're stressed. There's something he wants, but he can't tell us. So we're trying to figure out, does he got gas? Is he hungry? What is it? Is he a little constipated? Does he need to be patted? Does he just want to be loved and held? And we're trying to figure it out. So there is always this sense of something that is going on in our life. So it's not that when you find God, there's a presence of no problems. It's that when you find God, and when you decide that you're going to lean on Him, that you're going to say, okay, God, I don't know how to handle this. Is what's happening right now. I'm going to give this to you, and you're going to show me how to get through this. This is what I have realized. There will always be trials that we'll either get through, and maybe it will turn out exactly as we want it to. But for those times that they don't turn out how we would like it to, there is always growth. I heard that today, and I just thought, that is so powerful, that somewhere in the process of something happening, that maybe we don't like how it turned out. Maybe you wanted somebody to be healed and they weren't. Or maybe their healing took place on the other side, and God, took them to heaven. But in the midst of it, when it's something that you're not sure you can live with, you can, if you allow the growth. but you have to allow for the growth. You have to allow that even though something bad has happened, that God has something in this that can help you, maybe help somebody else in your future, maybe help somebody in your present, maybe help you get on a better path. Have you ever had somebody in your life and you've lost them and you think you could never survive without them? Their presence isn't going to be here. Maybe it's a parent. I can remember. Look, I know I was 16, but I can remember when I lost my mom. I mean, here we're getting ready to come on Mother's Day, and I just think to myself, I thought, how am I ever going to be okay without my mom? How is my life ever going to feel complete without my mom? Hey Shauna, hey Gwenda, thanks for joining. How how is this going to happen? Um Kelly says, I'll be honest, I was raised in a pagan home. Jesus and I have had a touch and go relationship. I hear you. But because I've caught these lives with Miss Molly, I'm dipping my toes in. Mm. Wow. Kelly, that's huge. Always resided in a gray area. I hear you there. Never really knowing where I belong. Kelly, I think God knows when people are needed in your life and when He's trying to push those people. Because, Kelly, God was pushing me for months to do this, and I wouldn't. And the main reason I wouldn't was because I didn't think that I was qualified. Not a preacher. I didn't go to college for ministry. The only thing I knew is that I lived a lot of life, and I lived some of that life very angry with Him. And when I learned, looking back, that He was always there, regardless, it was so huge for me. Bringing me through the cancer, bringing me through a broken arm. There was such a lesson in that. And one day I'm going to share that with you guys. We can sit and we can stew over everything in life that we don't like and say, why is it always me? Why am I the one who always has problems? Why not? Can I ask you that? Are any of us better than the other? Really? All of us come from different backgrounds, different raisings. All of us have done different things that are wrong. There's nobody perfect. So why not us? Why shouldn't we have struggles? Because I got to tell you, at almost 60, next month, I will be 60. And when I really think back to my life in sections, those parts of my life that I learned the most from, those places. Those places are where the biggest spurts of growth or believing in myself. I was just talking about, thought I couldn't live, what was going to happen without my mom. And let me tell you, for a while, I mean, can you imagine at 16? I was all over the place. I did not know. I mean, I suddenly, it didn't matter that I felt like my dad after that was just, I felt like he checked out. There's just no other way to put it. It's like my dad just checked out. Now at 16, I just wanted him to check back in. At 16, I just wanted to know that he was going to be there for me. At 16, I just wanted to know that somebody cared. At 16, I just wanted him to own up to who my mom told me he was. And that never really happened for me. It didn't. So you talk about feeling alone. You feel like that security blanket of your mom. And, and I watch so many people, you don't know, when I look on Facebook, social media, and I see all these people who still have their mama, or maybe they just lost their mom, but they've had their mom for all these years. And I just think you don't know it yet, but you don't know the blessing that you've been given to have that person in your life, even if you had struggles with them. My dad, A.T. George, he taught me a lot of things. He taught me that I could survive without his approval. He taught me that I could forgive and let go of things in my past because I never ever thought that I would be able to accept my dad for who he was instead of who I wanted him to be. Because, see, I wanted him to be like all my friends' dads. I wanted him to show up like I saw other people have their dads show up. I wanted him to love on me and make me feel special the way that I saw other people and their dads. Even today, at almost 60, when I see my friends and how they are with their kids are graduating and they're there and the support is so evident and the love is so evident. And I think to myself as I look at the kids, you don't know if you've had this all your life. You don't know what it is not to have it. You don't know what it is. You're going to get mad at them because they're going to try to direct you. You're going to get mad at them because they have life advice for you. But the truth of the matter is, you have them and they're there supporting you in all these grand efforts in life. I hate it when I see kids who so totally do not embrace their mom in the way they should. Oh, Mother's Day comes and I love you, Mom. Here's flowers. Here's gifts. Here's this. Here's that. Hi, Sarah. Love you so much, my friend. Thank you for popping in. Always good to see you. But they don't really love their mom the rest of the time. At least they're not showing their love. They're constantly going at them. I see kids out in public completely disrespecting their mom. They don't real. I mean, that mom is out there working one job, two jobs, taking care of things, trying to be there, trying to be supportive, trying to do everything they can. And as kids, they just don't get it sometimes. They don't understand. Man, it is. It's hard for me because I was hitting that phase at 16. I was hitting that phase where I did not agree with some things my mom was saying. I was just starting to enter that phase. And I never knew what it was like to get there. I never knew what it was like to have my mom there at graduation and stand tall and celebrate me because she was my biggest cheerleader. I didn't know until she was gone what I had lost, but I didn't know until I continued to go forward the message I was going to have about embrace what you have in your parents. If your dad's there and he's embarrassing you a little bit, oh, embrace it. Embrace it that he cares enough to cut up with you. Embrace it enough that he wants He wants that young man to treat you like the treasure that he cherishes. That's what I would tell anybody who is younger who happens to see this. Because living without that, oh, you think it would be better? But oh, it's not. It's not. Problems. Everybody has them. And everybody learns from them if you allow yourself. And this was a devotion for last night. So, and some of you may have this book. I tell you guys that right now this year I'm in Jesus Calling, and this is the note taking edition, enjoying peace in His presence. So it allows me to write notes, things of that. Let me revisit it if I wanted to. But it says this. This was from May 8th, yesterday. Do not long for the absence of problems in your life. This is an unrealistic goal since in this world you will have trouble. Like it or not, we are in haha Penny, yeah, do they? Yeah, let your girls know that I really wished I had had a dad who would do that with me. I had a dad and I eventually learned how to embrace him and how to love him for what he chose to give, but it never really was the relationship that I wanted. Hey, Britta, it never really was what I craved. It did a lot of damage when I think about sometimes when I don't feel good enough. I think that's part of it. And I think that the devil uses that with me. He says, Molly, what do you mean you think you can do this? What do you mean you think you can lead these Avon representatives? What do you mean you think you can talk to young adults and tell them about what you missed out or tell them what they should appreciate? What do you mean? Because you didn't even have it. And I think that he makes me feel like what I have to share is not worthy. And I have realized that when I feel that way, I just need to block him out. I just need to pray, God, remove him from me. Because I believe there's a lot. The reason that kids don't appreciate what they do have is because they've never been without it. And if you've ever been somebody who's been without it after you've had it, or when you've watched everybody else have it, oh, you realize, man, what a hole. What a hole, for sure. Okay, so this is unrealistic goal since in this world, you're going to have trouble. You have an eternity of problem free living reserved for you in heaven. Think about that. If you know Jesus, you have an eternity of problem free living reserved for you in heaven. Rejoice in the inheritance which no one can take away from you, but do not seek your heaven on earth. In other words, like I said, I wish I didn't have any problems. Why is it always me? Well, it's not. It's always other people too. Believe me, it's just when you're going through it, you think it's you. Lee says one of the best things I figured out was to see people for who they are, not who I want them to be. I was less frustrated, more like, y'all, I talk to you all the time about Lee's knowledge and some of the things he's helped me with. I wish that I had figured that out long ago, but I'm not Lee. I'm not Lee, and I don't think I see things as quickly as he does, and I don't think I unpack things the way he does. Um, if you're an emotional unpacker, that's me. If sometimes you can't see through the emotion, that's me. Even now. Um, but the one thing I have learned, I have, I have, I have really learned to love people where they are. Where they are. Do you know a lot of what taught me that? You're going to think this is crazy. For those of you who are watching this, because this is on every platform I have, my business, Avon has taught me to love people where they are. I always think, why did why did why did I pick Avon? Yeah, I had a great Avon representative and leader now, Mary Ann Penn, right? Many of you know her. But I was so unsure of myself. I was such a hot mess. I was all over the place. I was an emotional wreck when I found this. You know what I'm saying? So my whole deal is this. It is, why was I directed here? Why was I directed to have this group onward no matter what? Because when I first started, if you were that person who wanted to stir discord, if you were that person who wanted to always find the negative, if you were that person who always jumped on the bad of everything, I mean, I would just boom. Ask the people who've been in there forever. You were gone. There was there was no room for that in my world. And as I went on and I developed as a leader, and there were many people that Avon brought into our lives to speak. One in particular, John Gordon. John Gordon has taught me so much about being a leader. And of course, getting back in touch with God and the Bible and what it talks about loving people who are hard to love. Suddenly I saw myself not as it was happening, but when I look back, I see myself turning around as somebody who now when people are trying to see just the negative, and sometimes it is negative. It's not me trying to say that there is positive in the negative. It's that we will always have problems. We will always have issues in life, and we will always have issues in business. So my job, I felt as a leader, is to say, let me put my head around this and figure out how am I going to love this person through what they're saying, or maybe the hateful way they're saying it, and how can I teach people to say it differently? How can I teach people to get beyond that moment where they are emotionally challenged and they just hate what the company's doing or hate what their leader's doing or whatever that looks like, right? Hate what a customer is doing. How do I show people? Because you can tell them all day long. You can tell people all day long what they should do, but where I find that people have found direction with me is watching how I handle things. And even people who don't believe in God or choose to believe in something else and they don't believe like me, come and say, I don't understand how you can handle these things the way that I don't understand where you find the grace for this. I don't understand your patience. I would have just, and I'm like, I was you. I understand what you would have done. Because quite a few years ago, I would have done exactly what you want to do. My job is to show love and grace and let you know that even when you know God, even when you know Jesus, right? Problems are still going to occur. Frustrations are still going to occur. People need to be met where they are. They do. People, the way people want to do better is when they watch other people be better. And yeah, they may mock you at first. Do you think I'm not mocked in private and in public for doing what I'm doing right now? Do you not think that there aren't conversations going on about, well, here's Mama Molly. It's her holy roller hour on Tuesday. So we're just going to scroll on by this. That's okay. That's okay. Here's what I know. Your life is not free of problems. And one day you're going to roll through this. And you're going to be going through a huge turmoil in your life. And you're going to understand that I still, amidst the talk, the gossip, the way that you want to put me down, I still loved you where you are. I was still here with the message that says, you don't got to do this alone. You don't got to do this alone, man. God is there, not just in the moment. He is there. He is there in the was, he is there in the now, he is there in the future. But sometimes the struggles, he is there in the struggle, but sometimes the struggle is for the growth, and you don't see the growth until you grow. That's the truth. So for the kids, the young adults, there's a lot of young adults that follow me, mainly through Avon. My Mama Day is coming. I challenge you, quit just loving your mama on a special holiday and love your mama every single day. Love your mama by putting your clothes in your hamper. Love your mama by maybe fixing dinner, not just on Mother's Day, not just on her birthday. Love your mama by maybe sitting down and having a conversation with her and soak in that knowledge, because she's lived a lot of life. My mama had lived 44 years before she was gathered into heaven, for lack of a better word. The old me would have said before she was taken, because I was all pissed about it. What I do know is that I'm sure I would have had some frustrated moments with my mom. Being 16 when you lose her, I was just in the battle of not always agreeing with everything she said. But even with being a mom now of a son who is getting ready to turn 37 and a son who's getting ready to turn 30, that journey has been such like a roller coaster. But the highs have been so high during, what are we talking about? During their problems and during our problems together and during my problems, because there will always be problems. There will always be challenges, no matter what. I promise you that the one thing that will always be is challenges and frustrations and disappointments and deaths and relationships that are breaking apart. There are always going to be these things around us or maybe happening directly in our life. What I'm going to tell you is that you can get through it. You can grow through it. Or you can stay angry. You can stay pissed. You can say, well, you know what? God shouldn't have done this. I got news for you. God didn't do it to start with. When you're able to take a huge, big look sometimes, hindsight as they call it, sometimes you see that a lot of what happens is exactly what we've put ourselves in. At the time, it may have seemed like a great idea. But boy, when we look back, we realize it wasn't a great idea. It's not that those situations can't be used to make you better. They can be. Listen, begin each day anticipating problems. In other words, know that there are going to be problems. Quit saying, if I live my life good enough, there's never going to be a problem. If I live my life good enough, I'm not going to have problems in my business. If I live good enough and I love Jesus enough, I'm never going to have problems with my kids. Yes, you are, because I got news for you. The closer you are to God, the more the evil one wants to see you get away from it. That's the truth. That is the truth. Do you think that he wants to see you do better? No. And do you know what he uses? He uses those things and those people that are closest to us to bring strife. Because think about it. When you love your kids, when you love your parents, when you love your husband, what happens? You take it and you take it and you take it and you take it and you take it, or maybe you do and you do and you do the wrong thing in the name of being right. Maybe that's what you do. But those relationships mean so much to you that is what he uses. Well, you don't understand. I love them so much. You don't understand. It's my husband. He doesn't mean to do this. You don't understand. No, what you don't understand is you're trying to fix people that it's not up to you to fix. Do you know the hardest thing as a mom for me has been watching some of the paths my kids have gone down? And I've got news for you. If my mom were alive today, one of the hardest things for her would have been watching the paths that I have gone down. Maybe that's the blessing for her. Because, see, I don't know if I would have listened to her even if she was here. Because we get so headstrong. We just think we know it all. And because I had gotten so far away from just God and what He says, look, the Bible says honor your mother and your father. It doesn't say they're always right. It doesn't say you always have to do what they say, but it does say honor them. But it also tells fathers, don't enrage your children. In other words, stop it. Stop being that person who is always trying to bring your children to wrath. Quit it. I mean, if you keep reading the Bible, you realize it's not just honor your mother and father. See, that's the problem. People grab a verse and they forget that there's a whole book. There's a whole book. And that the Bible isn't just for the children and what the children should do. More of it's for the adults and what the adults should do. And not handpick. Oh, you know, well, you should only do this if you have this. If you don't have tattoos, you're going to heaven. If you don't have long hair, guys, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, oh, it's so infuriating. Just bad. I say it all the time. When we encounter these things, what happens is we let bad churches, bad pastors, bad Christians rob us of a good God. Because just because those people are professing God, it does not mean that they are doing what God says. Sometimes in a church, it becomes all about the pastor and what the pastor wants and not what God wants and what God truly says. And when you're speaking the Bible, make sure you pick up the two verses in front of the verse you're quoting and the next two verses too, because there's a lot to be said for that. Hearing that there are preachers out there that when a wife has been beat or has been hit or in any, I don't care, verbally abused consistently by their other half, and saying that, taking the verse that wives submit to your husband, I don't think he said wives submit to the beating. But what they forget is the other verse. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loves the church. And my Jesus got up on a cross and died for me. So beating them, browbeating them down, if you've got somebody who says that you should stay because he apologizes, because you pray together to ask God, I'm not telling you to leave. I'm not telling you to stay. I'm telling you that if you're going to adhere to the Bible and you're with somebody, you better make sure they're not laying hands on you, because that's not what Jesus tells them to do. That's a partnership. And I just think that when I see anybody take a scripture and twist it, it infuriates me, because I have watched people my entire life stay in abusive situations. I have watched people, including myself, and my husband never hit me. Ever. My first husband he never hit me. But there was a lot that went on that I didn't want to fail in the marriage, so I just kept staying. I kept ignoring the signs. I kept my kids in a dysfunctional marriage and in a dysfunctional life. I have to bear some personal responsibility for my first son's marriage that did not work well. I have to. because I feel like there was patterns that were set there that I have said, "Oh my Lord, why would he do this? Why would he allow this?" And then I had to look back at my own relationship that I was in and say, "Why wouldn't he, Molly?" And I had to go to him at a later date when we were talking again and saying, "I am so sorry that I led a life that let you think this was okay. That you should stay in it and just hope it gets better." Mm, that's not that's not what God meant. It's not. But when you have those problems, when you have those difficulties, because I got to tell you again, I'm okay with my ex. So weird. I'm okay with him. I'm not so quite sure he's okay with me, but that's all right. When I look at what I went through and where I am now, because of how he was with me, I have figured out how to have a little bit more respect for myself and stand up for myself. Man. Yeah, Lee, you're right. There was no Jesus in the relationship with me and my ex. There wasn't. And look, don't think that Lee and I are perfect. We ain't. We yell, we scream, we have our moments. We do. But at the end of the day, we have Jesus. And now when apologies happen, they happen because Jesus won't leave us alone. Because God's there saying, "You know what you just did? That's not cool. That's not cool. Molly, I know he frustrated you. I know he did. I know he did. But Molly, that's not all right. You should have handled it better, Molly. I feel it. I feel it in my gut. I feel it in my heart." And there was a time when I would just shove it under the carpet. There was a time when I thought, "Yeah, I probably shouldn't, but oh well, he'll get over it." Or maybe I just wanted to be right. Mm. Yeah, there's a reason. There is a reason that problems occur, and what happens? You can grow through it. You can give it to God. You can make amends where you need to, and you can take whatever you're given as the end result and figure out how you're going to grow with it. If you've lost your mom, you can go on without her here. Oh, you would really wish that she was here. I get you. I feel you so much. I get you. But don't forget everything that mom left you with. Even in 16 years, my mom left me with so much. Every time I'm in the kitchen cooking, that was all my mom. She gave me a love for it, and that love just continued even after she died. I think about how my mom loved family. Look, my mom loved family to the ninth degree, but my mom also loved family to the ninth degree that some of the things that she did not encourage a healthy love. I didn't know that till I got older. See, my mom would do anything to make things right within the family. Even giving a little bit of misinformation or lying a little bit just to bring somebody in or get them talking or whatever that looked like. Because my mom hated turmoil. She just hated turmoil. She just wanted everybody to get along. But when you're getting along and the facts are not out there in front, when you're getting along and the people that you're trying to get along never change anything about their actions. They never change who they are. They never. All you do is just bring them back together, and everybody says, "Okay, we gonna be together for Mama, cause Mama wants us together. Mama wants us here." No, no. What my mom should have said is she should have dressed exactly where the wrong and right was. The wrong with my father, the wrong with my brothers, the wrong with me, the wrong with other people in the family that were extended. The wrongs should have been addressed. They should have brought God into it. Because when you are trying to keep something together and all the actions are still wrong and they're still repeated, God isn't in that. That's a false hope, and it doesn't stay. It doesn't stay. When I keep wondering, why did the turmoil keep happening in my family? Why? Because the same thing was going on. He was just going around the table doing the same thing. Nothing changes when nothing changes. So I thank my mom, even today, for me seeing things she was doing then that I bought into my life with me. And I'm like, nope, no more. Not doing it. Not doing this anymore. And it's real easy to revert back to doing those things sometimes. But now I catch myself a lot quicker. So think about those people that you lost. Think about what they brought into your life. They all teach you something. Some of them teach you good things. Some of them teach you bad things. The truth is, most of the time it's a smorgasbord of it. Good things, bad things. What can you do differently? What would you take and do the same? Because that's who we are. We're human. We're human. And where there is God, there is a possibility of you getting it better because He's there to lean on. Begin each day anticipating problems, asking me to equip you for whatever difficulties you will encounter. The best equipping is my living presence, my hand that never lets go of yours. Discuss everything with me. Take a lighthearted view of trouble, seeing it as a challenge that you and I together can handle. Remember that I am on your side and I have overcome the world. That's big stuff right there. In John 16:33 it says, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. In Isaiah 41:13 it says, for I am the Lord your God who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear. I will help you. And then in Philippians 4:13, one of my favorite verses, I can do everything through him who gives me strength. Sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but you can. And I need you to know, it's never God that lets go of your hand. It's you letting go of his hand. You thinking that you don't like where something's going. You thinking you can solve something better than he can. How do I know that? Because I've lived almost 60 years of it. You know what's really amazing? That every time I reach for his hand again, it's there. Who has taught me to love the Avon world, the tribe, my family, my friends, no matter what is going on, no matter what? God. Because no matter what, the love is there. But he's a God who doesn't abuse me. He's a God who's always there. He's a God who still lives. His son died for me. He died for you. That's the message. My thoughts on this was it would be nice to have everything perfect and going the right way. But I think I learned more about God's presence during the struggles in life. I can do all things through Christ. And then, of course, you all have heard me. I write this every single night. Every single night in this journal, you will see this written. God, help me to walk slow enough to experience Jesus fully and love people deeply. That. Molly, what gets you through? Molly, what makes you not knock the heck out of people when you want to because you know they being stupid? God says to love them through it. Oh, I do my best to redirect. And sometimes people just don't belong in my tribe. I realize not everybody does, and I'm okay with that. But most of the time, they dismiss themselves from my life. I don't have to dismiss them because I'm still trying to find ways to love them, but they are so uncomfortable with it that they just dismiss themselves. So, and that's on them. That's not on me. Now, I really like this. I'm going to read this because you know we don't go much into this, but this, of course, is The Chosen. This is 40 Days with Jesus, and this one is titled Light. This is based on John 3:18 and 19. Whoever believes in Jesus is not condemned, but whoever does not believe is condemned already because he has not believed in the name of the Holy Son of God. And this is the judgment. The light has come into the world, but people love the darkness rather than light because their works were evil. That's a big one. That's a big one. But it's just it's truth. It's truth. Nicodemus came to Jesus at night to sit and talk and learn and hide. John's gospel doesn't specify the meeting took place in the dark to keep his fellow Pharisees from seeing it, but Jesus' words implied as much. Until you're willing to step out of the dark and into the light, you're not with me. But let's back up. The passive aggression of the Pharisees was evolving into just plain aggression. The more Jesus taught and healed, the more he gained a reputation. And his audience was growing. Among the multitudes, there were some who believed Jesus was the long awaited Savior, and rightly so. He was repeatedly saying as much, which was why the Pharisees were no longer hiding their disdain. There were murder plots in the works and outright attempts on Jesus' life, but the religious leaders tried to keep their plans under wraps because they feared the reaction of his followers. So it makes sense that Nicodemus, a renowned Pharisee with a reputation and career at stake, was scared to be seen with Jesus. Yet the first thing he said in his secret meeting was, Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher come from God, for no one can do these signs that you do unless God is with him. That's John 3:2. He was on the right track. Jesus came from God, and his works were evidence of that. Typically, Pharisees were their own biggest fans. They were proud of their education, accomplishments, piousness, and zeal. And all of the above earned them status and power, because that's all it was to them. That made it difficult for Nicodemus to know how to respond to the man who was clearly from God, and teacher was the highest praise he could muster. But Nicodemus' statement didn't go far enough. And Jesus' response, while gentle, loving, didn't pull any punches. Paraphrased, it went something like this. Because I'm God's son, whoever believes in me will have eternal life, and those who don't believe in me stand condemned. Although my purpose in coming wasn't to condemn, it was to save. But unfortunately, Nicodemus, what you count as worthy of salvation, your resume, your position, your ambition, your good works, I count as evil because they are the very things keeping you from following me now. Being unwilling to meet Jesus in the light of day was the picture of Nicodemus's unwillingness to follow, period. At least on that night. He didn't know it yet, but Nicodemus loved the darkness and all he'd built in his domain. It wasn't until after Jesus was crucified that the Pharisee emerged from the shadows. Joseph of Arimathea, who was a disciple of Jesus, came and took away his body. This is after Jesus was crucified. Nicodemus also, who earlier had come to Jesus by night, came bringing a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 75 pounds in weight. They took the body of Jesus and bound it in linen cloths with the spices, as in the burial custom of the Jews. Now in the place where he was crucified there was a garden, and in the garden a new tomb in which no one had yet been laid. So because of the Jewish day of preparation, since the tomb was close at hand, they laid Jesus there. What caused the change? What made Nicodemus willing to publicly express his love for Jesus? Perhaps it was the unjust conviction at the hands of the Pharisees. Perhaps it was the viciousness of the Romans as they carried out the sentence. Perhaps it was the cheering of the crowd, the very ones Jesus taught and fed and healed. Most likely it was the result of immense guilt, an attempt to make up for his previous cowardice. Whatever his reasons, the fear, pride, and disbelief that kept Nicodemus in the dark so long, awake, O sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. Man, it's amazing when you look through reading about the people who followed Jesus in this, and not just the disciples. Like I said, these are people who healed. They talk about these are the Pharisees. These are people who didn't know him and came to know him. It's amazing how when you really look at the stories that are in the Bible and you realize according to how they had to live and what they deemed great, people who think that because they go to church every day, they're going to heaven, or they go to church on Sundays, they go on to heaven, whatever that looks like for you. People who think that because they're good to people, they're going to heaven. Now, those are things that he instructs us to do, but he is very clear. He is very clear. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father but by me. You have to accept him. You have to accept him into your heart and life. You have to accept what Jesus did for you. You have to know it as truth. And then from there, you try to build a relationship with him. And you're not going to be perfect. And you're not going to be without struggles. But I will tell you this. You will be better when you can lean in on him and take his hand and walk the struggles with him instead of without him. Drop your prayer request if you're watching this on replay. Know that we will be praying over these requests, and other people will be who are reading the comments, who are just looking to help each other and love each other through everybody's difficulties and everybody's problems in life. So don't forget to share. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be shy. Don't think that, oh, it's not nearly as big as the other person's. It doesn't matter. We are all there for each other in the name of Jesus is what I'm hoping for. Thank you guys, and I will see you again next Tuesday. You can catch this on YouTube also. Bye.